Well, if you want to talk about a person out of their element, and this was perfect because this was from, I believe, like a week or two ago, very recently. But Mr. Wagenheimer from Israel, who is a reporter in Washington, D.C.'s bureau, had this to try to say or attempt to get Francesca, and she wasn't having any of it.
Mike Wagenheim with I-24 News. It's been a while since we've last spoken. A couple questions for you. In your report, you have a line in here that says that since its establishment, Israel has treated the occupied people as a hated encumbrance and threat to be eradicated. And you go on listing other items. We'll leave aside the contextual and factual debate about that.
Yeah, let's just put that to the side for a second.
There is no debate. There is no debate. And you are a walking, talking, breathing stereotype of everything that people hate about Jews. Like,
well, I was just going to say he very much reminds me of like the politicos down here that are that same variety.
I just have to say this. I noticed this when I was at a conference. I won't say which and I won't say who, but what I will say is that it's very telling, because one of the things in business that you're always taught is that, and you could tell he doesn't do this when he's standing up or sitting down, but it's actually very professional to button the top button of your sport jacket. But when I've been at certain events and no one has their top button buttoned, do you know why that is? It's the carrying a big gut.
Okay, see, this is not of what's important to me. What's important to me,
just can't help it. I just had to.
I know, and it's that, but that's silly. That's not the issue.
The issue is that this guy wants to defend genocide.
So right, let him continue his ridiculous questioning of her and hear how she wipes the floor with him.
Based on that statement, it seems to infer that you believe that Israel has been an occupier since the day of its birth. Is that your position?
That's my position. How about you, Jen?
Well, that would be just a fact.
Let's be honest. We've all heard the script. Israel has the right to defend itself. Hamas uses human shields. It's complicated. The same tired talking points, recycled every time Israel drops bombs on Gaza. Over and over again, war crimes are rebranded as self-defense, apartheid gets a PR makeover, and mass suffering is spun as unfortunate but necessary. Frankly, I'm exhausted. Maybe you are too. That's why this conversation matters. In this video, we bring you a sharp and essential discussion between a group of pro-Israel journalists fully fluent in the language of Hasbara, and Francesca Albanese, the UN's Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories. And let me be clear, Francesca is not just another voice. She's a legal expert, a human rights advocate, and one of the few figures within international institutions willing to call things by their name: occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing. While the journalists parrot the usual lines, carefully crafted to frame Israel as the eternal victim and Palestinians as disposable threats, Francesca cuts through the noise with clarity, moral force, and hard facts. She doesn't shout, she doesn't need to. Her words carry weight because they're rooted in law, in evidence, and above all, in a refusal to look away. You'll see how these journalists attempt to corner her with gotcha questions, how they cling to selective outrage and false equivalences. But every time, Francesca brings it back to what really matters: the lives of real people, the ongoing denial of their rights, and the urgency of justice. This isn't just a debate, it's a glimpse into the larger information war. And Francesca is one of the few powerful voices refusing to play along with the script. So if you're tired of the propaganda too, if you believe in justice, dignity, and actual peace, not the fake kind that comes with surveillance towers and checkpoints, then this one's for you. Like, comment, and subscribe to help us break through the noise. And let us know in the comments, what gives you hope in this ongoing struggle for Palestinian liberation?
You said since its establishment, Israel has treated occupied people, etc. Are you inferring that Israel's been an occupier since 1940?
Why do you have to infer instead of sticking to what I said?
And I'm asking, that's what's in there.
Let me elaborate.
Okay.
Israel has taken, and I can concede that it has done it with the recognition of the General Assembly, but from a human rights law point of view, and as I take a people-centered approach, I cannot forget it. The creation of the State of Israel has meant the dispossession of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who have been kicked out of their homes and never allowed to return. Why so? And does it make it an occupier? It makes a state, it makes of Israel a state who has forcibly displaced a significant part of the native population. And this is the past that has never been addressed. The Palestinians with Israeli citizenship who remained in Israel have been kept for 2 decades under military rule. And this is why when I say an encumbrance, I was not even referring to them, but as you ask, I mean, this is documented, so it's not debatable. It's history. And since 1967, which is what I'm most interested in because of the mandate I have, Israel has continued these practices, has extended the custodianship system that had been used to take control of all the properties left behind by the Palestinian refugees, but without time limit. So from 1967, I think this is Military Order 58, or one of the early military orders, Israel has been able to seize and acquire all the property left behind by the Palestinians. The 350,000 were forcibly displaced outside the occupied Palestinian territory in 1967, and the hundreds of thousands who have been kicked out of their homes and lands ever since.
Yeah, she's an anti-Semite.
Right. She's the problem. So, but you see how the way that they question her is from this complete level of condescension. Are you implying that, no, in fact, I'm not implying, I'm stating a fact. But just the way that he comes at it with this, it's so Zio. It's this level of just condescension, and you're going into it with this idea of you're entitled to it, whether this lady knows what she's talking about or not. And she knows what she's talking about. See, that's the thing.
She is a great leader. And as somebody pointed out, what's this nonsense? This is a volunteer position. She is not paid, nor are her expenses paid.
She's a scholar on human rights and a human rights law scholar. Like, her life has been dedicated to human rights and justice.
But again, the nebbish Israeli living in Washington is on the defensive because, again, as you've pointed out time and again, it's usually a tell. I mean, it's always a tell. They're basically admitting their own guilt. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they feel they're justified, which is why the constant talking point that we hear today centers around, well, this is what God promised us. You can't prove a negative. That's why there's separation of church and state, which should be a very sacred part of our First Amendment rights here in the United States, does not appear to be something that we seem to value anymore, at least not in the context of how it should be. And I've always felt that's the problem. If you want to believe what you want to believe, that's perfectly fine. Keep it the hell out of my business that affects everyday people in our country. I think that's pretty common sense.